All right, Ankur, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to be talking to you. And I cannot wait to hear about your experience at Date with Destiny. It was what, a week, 2 weeks ago. Tell me about your experience.
Oh my God. I don't even know where to start. My experience, I felt like God had come down and blessed me with all his courage and his wisdom and his positivity. And he said, Lunker, the life you've lived is a life that you don't deserve to live, but it's not about you. It's about how we can influence society together so we can encourage people to lead, love, and just to appreciate, because if we do that effectively, then we can set good examples for people, and then everybody could live happier and coexist happier. So I think that's what I took away from that as the crux of Date with Destiny. Mm-hmm. And I said this to multiple people. I'm not sure if I said this to you, but I felt like Tony, as human as he is, and this doesn't imply that, he's not human. And some people interpret it this way when I called him this, but I called him God's disciple.
Yeah.
And I did it because I said that he, as human as he is, and as many mistakes as he makes, just like we do, he effectively trained himself so he could live the legacy that he wanted to for himself and his family, and then also teach people how to do that. And so he's been doing that for 41 years. And so even though he makes mistakes, like he gave us the example about his car when he got his brand new car with the company that donated it to him for 20 years, or not donated, but let him use it for 20 years. And he made that left turn on the red light. And then he had that incident with the gentleman who was mad at him for making the left of the red light because, he could kill someone on a motorcycle. And when Tony was like so angry about him tailgating him and that whole situation, that whole story, which, if you do remember, it's basically like Tony realized that he was in the wrong. He also just knew that this guy was being really passionate about what, he was trying to teach Tony. And so Tony realized that he was in the wrong. So he apologized about it later. And he because when we get angry and upset as humans, like our emotions cloud our judgment and we don't care about anything else. We just care about like the person understanding our point of view. So he did that because he was so mad, and they were in the private airport doing this, and then he left and he realized I need to apologize to this guy and set a good example, but I also need to do this because it's the right thing for me to do, but also for him to understand that he's right. He just needs to be more he needs to be more understanding and less like blaming, right? Which is also what Tony taught him, I think, because before he walked away, the guy was a lot calmer than he was when Tony walked up to the door. Because I remember Tony said that the guy was so scared when he walked up to the door that he started freaking out like Tony was going to do something to him. Yeah, so long story short, I think Tony's made so many mistakes too, and he still does, but he's trained himself so much where he makes this many mistakes and he makes, this much result. So right. and does the right thing. So I think taking that away, I feel like he's God's disciple, because God's disciple doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. He just has to be the best version of himself to lead by example. And if he could do that effectively for most of his life, then I think that means he's God's disciple. And then he can effectively teach other people. And so I think what I took away from Date with Destiny was being the best version of yourself for other people and for yourself is the best way to live, because then the truth does set you free. And when you live life by the truth, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And I think people that everybody lives around that doesn't live by the truth, they're just going to be people that keep bringing you down and not letting you get to where you need to go, because you want to do the right thing and they want to do their thing, which they think is right. But unfortunately, it's not, and it's because of just people listening to other people, that people not trusting their own judgment, whatever the reason may be. That's the truth. And so I think Tony figured that out very early on, because he failed so many times. And so then along his journey, he grabs people that he feels like are on the same path as him, and then he gives them responsibilities based off what he thinks they can handle. And I think the perfect example of that is what's that gentleman's name? The one from Connecticut, the one that was abused by his mom.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? He's a little chubby. He used to work as a sales customer service person, and someone else's daughter who used to work there was going through drug problems, and he influenced her really, really effectively. And she stopped using drugs and turned her life around. And she told her dad, and her dad came over and thanked this man and gave him money to invest in his metal company, which is, this is one of Tony's people. He was Tony's security guard for 8 years. Yeah. So regardless, irrespective of his name, I think that that's what Tony does, because Tony is able to read people really well. So he picks people up along his journey, and he sees who's patient, who's not, what people want, why they want it, and he understands this by just asking people questions, and then based off of who he thinks are really going to be effective on his team, he picks them. And he's made mistakes too, because he's picked people who have stolen money from him. Right. Yeah. And he admitted that, and it is so wholeheartedly, and I respect him for it too, because that takes a lot of character to do that openly. Right. You know, because then you're being true to yourself and other people, and people might take specific things in terms of what they want to perceive or understand from what Tony's saying. But I think the gist of what Tony meant when he told us that story was he wanted to do the natural human thing, was when someone deceives you like that, is to want to hurt them or kill them. But what he chose to do was, which one of his people that he picked that he knew would be conducive to his goal, reminded him that that's not the right thing to do, and that regardless of what they did, you should forgive them, but you should also focus on your business, because if you don't, your business will collapse, and then your whole reason behind why you do this will just be in the trash, and then you have to restart again, and you don't want to restart again. And he reminded Tony of that, and Tony said, "You're right. I'm not going to go to Mexico to find these people, and I'm going to do what I have to do." And he listened, and he said that's the best advice he's ever heard, because look where he is now. That $250,000 that was stolen from him is nothing. It's wind in the dust. So, or it's dust in the wind. And so I took God's blessings from Date with Destiny, and I took how to be the best human that I can be.
Awesome. So what would you say was your number one lesson learned or takeaway from the event? Or just one of them. It doesn't have to be the top one.
I would say that in order to love and connect with people and contribute, we have to be able to take care of ourselves. And it's something that I think I've always advertised myself after I lost my brother and my parents at a young age, because I realized the only way I could stay focused in what I wanted to do was if I was happy and healthy. And so I think the biggest thing I took away was take care of yourself, because if you can do that, then you can take care of others.
Nice. I love that. So in talking with other people, sharing my experience, some of the feedback I've gotten is, holy cow, 15 hours a day for a week? Why would I ever do that? So what would you say to someone who would say something like that?
So I also want to say, I didn't get that expression, but I did get some expressions from people that were like, "Oh, wow," or 15 hours, or "That's intense, man. Good for you." Like, you know, like kind of being like, I can't do that, but the fact that you could do that, dude, I commend you, right? Like, so I got a lot of those reactions too, and some of them are good variations, some of them are bad, because some of the people that I talk to, like the girl that I'm talking to right now, she really understands what I'm trying to do for myself. So when I told her that, she didn't really react to negatively. She was kind of just like, "Wow, like I'm impressed with you, but I understand why you did that," you know? And so when I got that reaction from her, it was a good reaction. And I'm actually thinking about hopefully giving her my UPW for Master University in California in March. And hopefully if her work schedule allows it, you know, she can go there. And I think that'd be great for her. I think I'm going to take her phone away though, before she goes. I'm just kidding. I shouldn't do that. That's not good. But hopefully if she does go, that, you know, that she'll learn a lot. So I mean, what would I tell people that react that way? I would say, Justin, I would say that it's okay that you reacted that way. I totally understand why you reacted that way. I would have reacted that way a few years ago. And the reason I'm telling you I would have, and I think it's okay that you are, is because right now we have different mindsets. and we have different values. And so the reason our values are different is because we both haven't necessarily calculated our values and put them on paper and said, this is how I should be. We just kind of went through life thinking, this is what we should do because this is what other people are doing, or because this is what society tells me I should do. And so, so with that being said, like, if we keep living life that way, we won't be able to be in control of our life. But if we change our values based off what is the best value, not only because we think it is, but because it's been proven that these are the best values for us to live life this way and achieve this goal. Because the truth is, the most successful people have learned from more successful people. So if we can emulate and duplicate those people, then we will achieve and have the same result. And obviously different variations of that result, but we will achieve the same result. And so if I can say that and get them to understand that without them thinking about what I said too much and just thinking about like the concept of what I'm saying, then I can get them to be like, hey, you're right. And I want to, how can I sign up, or how can I, learn more about this event so I can grow in my mind and my values, and also think like you, because I admire the way that you speak and are passionate about this. And that's something that I'm lacking in my life. I'm lacking passion, and I want passion, and so that's what I think a response would be. And I would say I would smile because that would make me happy that somebody is feeling that way after I said that. And then I would try to help them, make their necessary actions. And obviously I would follow up and stay in touch, because the truth is, life happens, distractions happen. People aren't thinking necessarily about what they have to do. They just think about the moment right now. And so I would follow up with them, and I'd pray that after giving them this information, that they would be able to prioritize what is good for them, so they can, add the value in themselves and then do what they have to do effectively. And so if I can get them to do that, then, I've achieved my goal. And if I can't, then I think that I've done what I was supposed to do, and then it was their choice to not listen to me. Or listen to themselves too, because sometimes we tell ourselves something that we have to do, and we still don't listen to ourselves because we get distracted, or whatever the reason may be, we don't do what we're supposed to do. So I think as long as I effectively do what I'm supposed to do and they still don't listen, then I don't have to feel bad about it. But it's important to guide people too, because if you don't guide people all the time, and you don't give themselves the chance to guide themselves, then they won't see the growth that they want to see. So.
Right. No, I love that. So the other question or thought people have is, man, because it can be upwards of $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to go to Date with Destiny. Why would I invest that much or spend that much for a conference? So how would you talk to us about the financial investment to go to?
Oh, absolutely. It reminds me about what I said to you about like $3,500 for Date with Destiny next year, and how I'm unable to afford that right now. And if I really want to, I can get another credit card and put that on my other credit card, because I have about 3 right now that I have all the balances kind of like split on. And so I know if I did that it would serve me good. But I know that my credit isn't doing well right now because of these situations. And quite frankly, I've taken so much value at Date with Destiny that as much as I know I need to go again, I know that I need to work on other things in my life before I decide to go again. And so that's my rationalization, and I think it's a good one. So that's why I'm not worried about me not going there. But if I was going to tell someone else that, I would say it's not about the amount that you're spending. Mm-hmm. It's about the value that you're going to take away from the event to change yourself, so then you can make more money. And not only make more money, but I guess that would be more secondary. But initially, how can I grow myself and my character so then I could be better at making money, and then effectively, pay off this event, or have more money in the future. So when I'm looking back now, I'm saying, wow, like $6,500, $7,000 was a lot for me then. And it took me a year to pay that off based off of my current income. But look, I'm making millions of dollars now. And it's because I made that investment. So that's what I would say to people. And if people said, no, well, that's just a way for, you to get me to, to invest in this event, I would say, absolutely not. That's your negative thinking. And it's because your mind has been trained to think like that. People are always just trying to take money from you. And so that's why you're saying that, because the truth is, that's something that I'm doing right now. And, maybe talking about myself and not accomplishing that goal would not be a good example, because then people would be like, oh, well, you haven't done that yet, so then how can you teach it? So I might not say that, but I would probably say, like all I can tell you is I have the best interest for you because of XYZ experience in my life. And, you know, I would talk about my parents' death and how I found my parents murdered, which is something that we didn't talk about yet, which, you know, I'm sure we will one day. And how my brother died from a drug overdose. And so I've seen so much like death in my life that for me to think like this or for me to feel like this, there's some truth in it. There has to be some truth in it. And if you don't believe me, then I think truly that you're doing a disservice to yourself. And I'm not saying this to insult you. I'm saying this because that's the truth. And if you don't agree with my truth, then I would say take some time to think about what I said and maybe understand why I'm saying it. And if you still feel like you're right and I'm wrong, then I appreciate your time and I appreciate, you know, like your ability to want to listen to me. And I wish you the best in your life and your endeavors. And I hope that, you know, we connect again in the future. And if we don't, God bless. And if we do, God bless, you know?
Right.
And then boom.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate that. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is, I can't believe I spent this money, spent this time to go to this event. What a waste. 10 is, holy cow, this was best investment I've ever made. What would you give the Date with Destiny, the event?
Well, according to the scale, I would give it a 10. But if we're going outside the scale, I would give it an infinity. As in there's no limit, because the limit is what you make of it. So so if you take what you learn and you keep applying it and keep growing, then that $9,000, that $10,000, that $5,000 you spend is nothing.
Yeah.
Literally, absolutely nothing. So, and the reason I think like that is because I see the change in Tony and I see the change in myself over the last 4 years since my brother passed, and how I've just kind of like allowed myself to be more in tune with God and myself. And it's given me so much success in so many different facets of my life. So I think I'm a living, breathing example, just as much as Tony is, and just as much as you are, based off of your experiences in your life, based off what you told me when we first met. So I think that's what I would say to them. And that will not that, but that's what I'm saying to you to answer your question.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think
Awesome.
that's.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love infinity. It is that powerful. It is that good of an investment.
It really is. And that's how we're going to live our life until we leave this earth, you know? And that's the beauty of this, because if we understand this, then we can apply this to our life forever. And then we can leave this world knowing that we made an impact, and that people think of, you know, Justin Stevens. Is that how I say your last name?
Yep.
So Justin Stevens and Ankur Singh as these people who just wanted to give everybody love, wanted to give everyone, you know, the chance to give themselves the chance to succeed, but also just leave this implant that, you know, good is better than evil and right is better than wrong. And if we can fully, you know, engrave that in people's minds and hearts, then we've done our job, and I can rest peacefully, and we can rest peacefully. So I think that's the goal, and that's what I want for everybody. And I think that's what Tony's been doing for the last 41 years. So
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, sharing your story, sharing your thoughts on this whole event. It really is useful. And again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Justin, thank you for your time and for listening to me, because I know that I have a lot to say. And thank you for your emotions and like the way that you like expressed yourself authentically to me during this interview. That means a lot to me, and that also kind of like re-encourages me to be like, I like this guy even more because he's real. And so like I appreciate you being you, because that means a lot to me. And I appreciate just everything about this conversation, and I hope that we can take the value from this, and hopefully I can serve you and we can serve each other, and see what that brings to us in the future.